Steve Buttle in his own end. He's trying to serve it up to Cave, and a foot race with Mihailovic. Irwin has to stay home. It comes in front to Smethurst. Smethurst and Brevoort going for it. Now it's Neighbor. Neighbor serving it up to Hudson. He tries to elude one man, but he stays put right now. Hudson to Smethurst, back to Hudson in the box. Trying to cross one in front, and it's off of a Washington Diplomat. We'll have a corner kick, as it was O'Hara and Brevoort giving chase.
Well, this is the one-touch tactic that the Seattle team started out with, Steve. Very good opportunity to get through a packed defense. It's the right tactic. It's a beautiful one. It's great soccer. And Seattle just got to get that ball in the net.
Hudson necking it on. He scores!
Sooner said than done. Stevie Buttle serves an in-swinger. Alan Hudson nicks it on, and he gets credit for it. That's all he needed. Alan Hudson gets the goal.
His first goal of the year, and a big one, as it comes with over 28 minutes remaining in the match. And Seattle, knocking on the door numerous times, finally puts one into the back of the net, and they lead the Washington Diplomats 1-0.
And Steve, that was a magnificent goal. It's a tactic that Seattle's been using on their set plays, their corner kicks, as we see a half Lesmer Perotti memorial shot that knocked down one of the panels of the Volkswagen Fire Away at the Hole in the Wall contest boards. And here we go, Stevie Buttle. A nice in-swinger. Alan Hudson nicks it over top, and it's exactly where no one can get to it. And Seattle's got the goal that they've already earned 3 or 4 times tonight. They actually have gained that goal about 3 times so far, and it finally paid off.
Steve Buttle with his 5th assist of the year. The time of the goal, 61:08. And Seattle leads it 1-0.
And you know, Steve, we got a shot up close on the glasses of Bill Irwin just after that goal was scored, and the ball's being reset at midfield for the kickoff. And you could see that expression on his face, which said, well, I really think they probably earned it, because he'd done everything he could do to keep them out. His teammates haven't done much to keep Seattle from shooting and penetrating, and I think we're now going to see a rash of goals that we predicted earlier on.
Barton moving into space. Now off to Adrian Webster. Webster playing it back for Hudson, but we've said it before that the Diplomats are a second-half team primarily, and they are an explosive team. Buttle looking in for Webster as he tried to chip it over the top of Mihailovic, but it's Irushi playing it to the wing. Barton gets upended by Askew and wins the ball, and play goes on. It's Mickey Cave. He looks for Smethurst at the near post. Hits the bar! And it's cleared away as Seattle applying the pressure right now. They lead it 1-0, and Smethurst has hit the bar and hit the post.
Well, here we see again. He's done it several times tonight in the last game, whether it's the post or Alex Stepney's hand for Dallas or Bill Irwin stopping point-blank shots. Seattle's had enough to make good 4 or 5 goals tonight, and it's just a situation where Washington's kind of standing still. They're not marking people now. They're starting to get a little disorganized, and I think there, you don't see it, is Paul Cannell, who stood there just outside of Adrian Webster with his hands on his hips because he knew that he quit running. And had he continued on to that far post like any good collegiate player is trained to do, he'd have been in there to finish it off. Seattle can be thankful that he's just a library candidate, sits out there and reads the passing headlines.
Masico in the corner. Now he puts it into play to Askew, now to Masico. He comes in deep, sidesteps one man, puts it in front, scores!
And here we see a yellow card being given to Paul Cannell by Mr. Syme, because young Cannell, as we see Masico, a late substitute, coming by, knocking the ball. It's more a deflection than it is a score. And we did pick up the number there. It looks like it might be, might have been Askew or...
I didn't see
a blonde-haired guy.
So fast.
Remember that? It's the old blonde-haired guy.
There were so many jerseys around the ball on that cross from Masico as he got by one man, penetrated into the box for a volley, and the game is tied at 1-1 with 3:10 to play. Seattle looking like they had this one in hand. Here comes O'Hara now. Seattle has to hang on as now the momentum has swung. A lead pass to Masico. Cannell, and there's Buttle to clear it away. Now to Smethurst. 4-on-3.
I think the goal is by Bruvard. One of the blonde-haired guys in there, and he had come forward, so I think he's got to get credit for the goal.
Neighbor off to Miller. Miller starting in. Now the red jerseys all around, and he tried to backheel it. Oh my, Seattle, all they had to do was hang on for 3 minutes, but they do not like prosperity. Masico starting in. He's done wonders. Webster gets put to it, and he's come on and ignited the Diplomats. Brevoort gets the goal at 86-47 to tie the game. Barton for Hudson. It goes over his head, and now Seattle has to fight back. A big game for Seattle. They had it all but won when the Diplomats come back, as everybody getting kind of lax, and you said it, everybody kind of lull you, and they knock one in.
They lull you, but they're always dangerous, and Masico, you got to be careful of a player like that who comes into the match late, because he has nothing to lose, everything to gain. He's like battling Bruce Miller when he comes in. He runs around the pitch, and he simply battled the defense for that ball, got it, got into the box, and here we see Derek Smethurst.
Smethurst looking for some help, but he doesn't have any. There's nobody in the box.
Seattle's a little stunned right now, Steve, and as we try to sort out the goal scorer, I think it was one of the blonde-haired guys. It's got to be Dredge, O'Hare, or Brevard who scored that goal. And we'll know in a minute when our official statisticians bring it up from below.
It's Brevard who scored the goal on the assist from Masico. Now across in front, O'Hara. It goes into touch, and it is a corner kick, a 1-1 match. As Washington has come back to tie it, and everybody here is stunned. Now Neighbor looking for Irwin. There's Davies sending it back in front, and there's Irushi to head it away. And the ball going into touch. It's a Seattle throw-in now. Miller to put it in play to Hudson. Hudson at the end line. To Barton. Barton will hook it. Everybody on side looking in for Smethurst. It comes back out to Neighbor now with 20 seconds to play. Neighbor sending it back in, looks for Smethurst, and they send it back to Irwin, and it looks like we're headed to overtime. Irwin will clear it away. And will the nemesis continue? As it's 1-1, and that is the end of regulation time. As we go into sudden death, as the Diplomats have come out of nowhere to tie this one, and there you see it, disconsolate Jimmy Gabriel.
Well, that tells the whole story, folks, as we look at the Scotsman there. Great heart, great courage. He's got to be talking to himself, as I found him doing so a couple of times this season. But now Seattle must simply pull up their bootstraps, get the renewed courage and spirit, go back to that one touch that they had at the beginning of the first half and the second half, and pursue the victory.
We're headed to overtime. The score, Washington 1, Seattle 1.
Well, Steve, if I have to say it, I've felt exactly how Coach Jimmy Gabriel looks a number of times over the past 20 years of coaching. He had it all in his pocket. He said, what else do we have to do? And it's almost as if fate's against you. Tell you, Washington certainly doesn't deserve a victory here tonight.
Yeah, that's the way you have to feel about it at this point. Seattle has played hard, they played well Saturday night and lost, and they've played well tonight with numerous close calls. off the bar twice. Medhurst is hitting wood. That's all he's been hitting. And he's got to be frustrated. Seattle has had a couple of balls put it off the line. And to this point, they've just have to be scratching their heads thinking, what do we do for a win?
Well, Mickey Cave's headshot early on in the match. A lot of things that seem to have Seattle in a rut. They work hard. They have a few slumps here and there, a little bit of a drop in play and in performance, and they seem to get penalized for it. But we said all along, Washington's the kind of team that just sort of lulls you. They sort of stand around. They don't show much interest in doing anything, but they've got people who, if they decide in any given moment to do something, can really hurt you.
O'Hara will take the free kick. It's 1-1. We're in overtime. Anybody scores, and it's all over. Ivanhoe up in front of Cannell. And Cannell waiting behind him to try to get to it.
Now, what we didn't see, or the camera didn't pick up just at the end of regulation, was as we watched the replay here with this left-footed cross coming in off of Tommy O'Hare, and that could have been devastating right there, because those are the kind of things that require great understanding between defenders and goalkeepers. The defender decides he's going to take that and try to clear it out. He could have nicked it over top, and that would have been all she wrote.
There's Medhurst nicking it on, and it's played back in front. Neighbor, it goes over the top. No, it comes out. I thought it went over the top, but it came off, ricocheted off of Neighbor's head, and it's O'Hara.
Here again, Adrian Webster gets off a left-footed cross and outswinger, and Derek just sets it neatly over top, trying to link up with Bruce Miller. The taller defender got a head on it, and his forward momentum carried it over top, and Jimmy Neighbor almost sealed the tune.
Comes on to Alan Green. Green sending it back in front. There's Davies with a chest trap, and now clears it away in front of Cannell. O'Hara out at midfield. Miller trying to get into the passing lane, can't do it, and it's Mihailovic. Mihailovic trying to get around Miller. Now Masiko, Mihailovic, and Askew. Askew tries to get it on to the on-rushing Mihailovic. It's deflected out of bounds by Seattle. Washington with a throw-in. Brevoort, the man who scored the goal, sending it into Maseko. There's Green with a header, hits the bar, a follow shot, and it goes over the end line. Alan Green with the header.
Holy Toledo, I can't believe that. Mike Ivanhoe looked like he didn't even think about that. That deflection came in there, and it was almost as if he believed it was going to hit the crossbar, because he made no move whatsoever. And he saw the flight of the ball, so that scared me right to death.
Masiko to Askew, back in the middle of Masiko. He's dangerous, sending it front-wise, and it was Cannell at the far post. The goal kick for Seattle.
Seattle's got to start to deny these Washington players the space that they're having. They're just taking too much for granted right now, Steve, and they gave up the opportunity to do some ball control there with about 10 minutes to go in regulation. They can't get disorganized now and let this thing happen. They just can't be. They can't give away a game like this.
O'Hara back in the middle of Brevoort. There's Hudson coming through. Smethurst has it. Smethurst on the outside of the foot to Miller. Miller now veering to the middle of the field. Pushed momentarily by Draghi, but he gets it off to Smethurst, now to Hudson. Hudson at the 35. Smethurst making a run. Miller and Buttle also. Hudson back for Barton. Barton a long way away. He's tripped up, and it was either Mokajoa or Masiko. And it's Mokajoa. It's a free kick for Seattle. About 25 yards away with a minute and a half to play in the first overtime.
We need one of those Mickey Cave set play free kicks against Los Angeles. Mr. Rigby here.
It's Neighbor looking into the middle. Miller is there. Now a scissors shot by Webster, and it goes out of bounds. Goal kick.
Well, my old friend Steve Wallace and Brian Reynolds had a premonition that Adrian Webster was going to score the winning goal, so 2 or 3 times he's been down there in the hunt trying to poach it. If he were about 8 feet tall on that last scissors kick, he could have probably nailed it down in the bottom of the net.
Cannell to Askew. Askew looking to center it to Green. It's Impey there to knock it away. Neighbor and Mokajoa go after it. Mokajoa wins it back to O'Hara. O'Hara sidesteps Neighbors, approaches the 35. Hudson moving back, but Barton steps into the lane. It's John Impey. Impey, a long ball up the right wing for Jimmy Neighbor, who gathers it in over his left shoulder. Now he starts in on Brevoort across the 35. Comes into the danger area. Into the middle of the box. A shot right on. As Irwin came off the line and had the angle cut,
Yeah, Mr. Irwin is so cool. You can see why he's the #1 keeper. He was in the angle, fully confident, and look out.
Here's a shot. Ivanov blocks it and falls on it with 3 seconds to go in the first overtime.
Oh, seeing a leaping Ian Bridge, and this is a hockey stop for Mike Ivanov. Wasn't the goalkeeping stop where you hold on to that ball. It was just a case of last-ditch deflection, and the reflexes saved him there, and he had to dive back and make a second save on it. Of course, any goalkeeper that's training for the bigs, as Mike Lampkin would say, you've got to dive up, come off that first shot, dive after the next one so that you don't allow any goal.
We'll move on to the second overtime. The score, Seattle 1, Washington 1. Play goes on now. Seattle gets the kickoff here in the second overtime. 7.5 more minutes. Neighbor pushed off the ball by Mokajoa. Neighbor goes down holding his knee. And we'll see here if he's hurt at all seriously. John Anderson comes a few yards out onto the field, but now goes back to the bench. Hudson chipping it for Ian Bridge. Ian Bridge looking long now for Miller, trying to send it back in. And there is Mihailovic sending it back to Irwin. And if you want to know, last year, Washington defeated Seattle in a shootout here at the Kingdome, 2-1. Miller at the 35. Now to Smethurst and to Alan Hudson. Hudson chipping it for Impey. Now on to Miller. Miller, a shot that goes wide on a volley. And he looked into the middle to Smethurst and decided he wanted to take the volley and thought he could beat Irwin far side.
He had a choice there. He could have cut it back into Derek Smethurst, who momentarily was open, or because when the defender left him there, a nice little slide pass would have been home free. But Derek, always the enthusiastic teammate, applauded him because he realized that banana shot could have bent into the far corner of the net and it would have been all over.
And there is Irushi losing it on the far side. Barton quickly to put it in play to Hudson. And we are approaching another shootout. But the way these teams have been near missing him tonight, it may not go that far.
Well, I'll tell you, Tony Chersky, bless his heart, he loved the shootout about as much as he loved the influenza. In fact, he opened the window here in the Kingdome once in influenza. He once said that if he had his way, he'd have used guns in the shootout. Can you see a player coming in when the ball in the shootout and the goalkeeper pulls out a Gatling gun, destroys the ball? Kick that in my net, will you?
Mihailovic. He sends it back to Irushi now with 5 minutes to play, second overtime. Barton stepping through to intercept the ball. Buttle hooks a pass to Neighbor. It's 3-on-3. Neighbor sailing in. Mihailovic does a nice job of deflecting the ball away from Neighbor. And perhaps a little bit of fatigue there by Neighbor as he was starting in, but the explosiveness not really there.
Well, Jimmy's been out a few matches with injuries, and coming right back and going the distance is a little bit difficult. He's worked hard, had a lot of dashes toward the byline.
Mokajoa looking in for Cannell, shoots, and it's wide. And did you see the way he positioned Impey? He kept him right on his hip as he came in along the diagonal. Watch this.
I'll tell you, that could have been dynamite. You see this head shot coming in? Even off his balance, he gets enough of his eyebrows on it to make it really exciting. And it could have been all over right there, folks.
2 minutes left. Davies booming it out of there. Smethurst going up with it. Buttle falling it off to Hudson. Hudson to Buttle. He'll look to Webster, and he serves it up to Webster now, midfield. Now to Smethurst. Smethurst back to Buttle. Looking for the long ball. Sending it down for Masico. It was intended either for Martin or Webster, I'm not sure who. Kind of split the two. And Hudson to put it in play with 1.5 minutes. There's Miller. Miller against Irushi. He'll look back to Hudson and serves it up to him along the touch line, the left wing. Hudson to Buttle at the 35. Buttle starting in. And he's pushed by Brevoort, no call. Now Hudson moves in to take it away. Webster, Ian Bridge. Bridge about 30 yards away. And he'll look to move it in closer instead of taking the shot. Neighbor at the edge of the box. Neighbor crossing one front. It's Miller, and he just misses as it was the far post. Miller, and who else was that? Looks like Mihailovic. That's who it was as Miller tried to sneak in.
Oh, here again, they got a good ball from Ian Bridge over to Jimmy Neighbor, and there were a couple of shirts being tugged there. Both Mihailovic and Miller felt it, and here's a good last second, well, almost the last second, 54 seconds left. Substitution with the shootout in mind, bringing Adrian Webster, who's never claimed to be a great shootout artist, in for Al Trost, who's got a few tricks in his bag left. So a good tactical move on the part of Jimmy Gabriel.
And we're under a minute before we head to overtime. It's 1-1. Or before we head to the shootout, that is. Davies nodding it forward to Barton. Masico touches it with a half a minute to go. So Seattle will try to get one more drive now as Buttle approaches the 35. He looks for Neighbor. Neighbor has to come back on side with 18 seconds to go. Tries to go around O'Hara. It's off of O'Hara. Seattle has 13 seconds to get one in. Neighbor looking for Hudson. Hudson offside.
Can't be.
Send it back into the middle. I can't see it either.
Can't be outside of the throw-in.
But that'll do it. We're down to 1 second, and we are on to the shootout against Mike Ivanhoe. You have 5 seconds to deliver the ball to the net or take a shot on goal. And here's Ivanhoe out. Green starts in. Green is tripped up, and the time is up, and we'll see if they have a retake. Green misses.
Well, he's going to call a penalty kick. He's going to call a penalty kick. He signaled a penalty kick. And here you see Green coming into the box, and in this case,
he tapped it too far.
He tapped it too far. Looks like he already had missed the ball, and of course, Mike Ivanhoe took him out of the picture, and he indicated a penalty kick. So it's going to be a 12-yarder now with Alan Green taking the shot against Mike Ivanhoe. And I can't agree with that. As much as I am for the job that Mr. Simon has done tonight, Green had simply pushed the ball too far away from him to have a shot at it. He'd have had to have been Spider-Man and Mercury and Superman all in one.
And Alan Hudson,
can't agree with it.
Alan Hudson is signaling out there to Ivanhoe. To the right, he says. To Ivanhoe's left for the penalty kick. Here's a shot, and he scores. And Diplomats lead it 1-0. Now
That's
Alan
a case
Hudson.
where Mike Ivanhoe simply didn't pick up the signal that Alan was giving him, and after watching that shot, I'm not sure it made a difference anyway. He'd have had to really span the net to stop that one. But Mr. Syme called that penalty on the basis that Mike Ivanhoe took the man out of the play, but frankly, folks, you be the judge. You saw the replay. It seemed to me that ball went away from him.
Alan Hudson now. The clock starts. He moves in. Irwin comes way out. Hudson chips it and scores! And after one round, it is 1-1.
Now here you see the maestro. Done a super job all night. Battled all the way, and he just waits his turn. This time the ball at his feet, as opposed to the other night when the ball got away from him, it was too far to chip. And this time that ball right at his feet, he's able to lift it up as Irwin's sprawling body went down, and he won't even look. He's sitting over there with his back to the play. We can't see him here, but he's got his back to the play. He won't look at this shootout.
All right, here comes O'Hara. O'Hara starting in. Ivanhoe trying to cut the angle. O'Hara scores. O'Hara very patient until he saw Ivanhoe make a commitment. And it is 2-1.
Yeah, it's just like in ice hockey, folks. If that keeper makes the first move, he's dead. And the odds are a little different here with a round ball than a hockey puck. But as Mike goes down, and now he's walking away and taking a seat outside the box. Irwin, he wouldn't even watch that last shootout. If we can get a shot of that next time, he apparently says, I'm going to concentrate. I'm not going to watch.
Al Trost, 0 for 0 so far. He starts in, shoots, scores! As he skimmed it towards the left side, and a good substitution as Trost was
there he is, Captain
left.
America brings it in, very patient himself. He waits for Irwin to start down and then bends it. That's a banana kick, youngsters. A banana kick with the shoelaces, comes from the outside in across the ball and bent it around a sliding Irwin. Now, if our camera can pick up Irwin down there, maybe you can see him. There he is. He's in a meditative pose there. He's not going to watch it.
Here's Irushi. He waits for Ivanhoe. Now he shoots and scores. And that one on time.
Made it look easy.
Yep. It's 3-2. We haven't had a miss yet.
Hiroshi made this look easy. He comes down, taps the ball twice, pulls it now, and he still gets it off with a one-touch shot. If he hadn't hit it right on that next move, of course, he'd have run out of time.
All right, Buttle trying to keep Seattle even here in the bottom of the third. Here's Buttle. Moving in on Irwin. Shoots, scores it. And it is 3-3.
Well, that's entertainment, folks. I don't care what you say. You could be out walking the streets of Seattle tonight looking for a free hot dog. Here you are in the Kingdome where all the action is. And I know, sometimes people forget that. They get all tied up in wanting to make the championships. Hey, this is entertainment, folks.
And I believe this is going to be Draghi. There you see our end zone camera.
Now the young American's going to miss it. I'll predict that right now. You got your first miss.
Here comes Draghi. Ivanhoe does not commit. The shot, he blocks it.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And now we move to the bottom of the fourth. And a big one for Derek Smethurst to Seattle, now with the opening they need to take the advantage of the shootout.
He heard us. The young American got down too low on the ball. Mike Ivanhoe puts it right in his, well, there's a birth certificate involved there someplace, and he snagged that one. And now Derek Smethurst will send the Sounders ahead. A perfect 4 for 4.
Smethurst to go now. Smethurst 1 of 2 on the year. He hit against
Nice
the Cosmos.
chip.
Irwin comes way out. He blocks Smethurst's shot. And now we go to the 5th round. He really was better off to loft that one, I think.
Well,
I mean, it's hindsight, of course. You have to
in
make
order
it
to loft it, that ball has to be right at your foot, and you can see at that point he stabbed into it. He couldn't get it up from that position. It would run away from him just a little bit. That way, that ball went straight into the target.
Now it is Askew in the 5th. He can give Dallas, Washington the advantage now. This is the 5th. It's 3 up. Here's Askew against Ivanhoe. Works around him, shoots, he gets it. And now Seattle must score. They must score or else Washington will win it.
Here you go. He's testing the clock in this case. 2 touches, 3. Then he still decides to go around the sliding Mike Ivanhoe. And in that case, he stood inside. He's doing a little dance over there across the field.
So now Neighbor will go for Seattle. Jimmy Neighbor, 1 of 1 so far this year. He scored the winner against the Cosmos. Gotta hit this.
Gotta hit it or she's all over. Folks.
Neighbor starts forward. Irwin comes way out again. Nerd, and it's blocked. Neighbor tried to go around him, and Washington wins 2-1. Oh my, what a big loss for Seattle.